The views and opinions of this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. There is substantial risk of loss in trading futures and options, which you should carefully consider prior to trading.
Plenty of market volatility is continuing to be seen here this week. A decent day in the grains. Stocks, though, again, under heavy pressure. Mixed bag in the livestock complex. Let's get perspective on how things are looking as we near the end of the week. Joining us for a conversation while I am on the road in Washington, D.C. Big thanks to the folks at the National Cattlemen's Beef Association giving me a workspace here today. He's at his office in Nashville. Tommy Grisafi with Nesvik Trading. Tommy, how are you, buddy? It's good to talk to you again.
I'm doing well, Jess. I was glad you called. There's so much to talk about in the outside markets, and you know I love chatting about all that stuff because not only do I trade and help people hedge commodities, but I enjoy trading too. Now, a lot of risk. I mean, you got to be careful with these stock indices as a trader. You might, now's a good time maybe to trade the micros, and they're moving so fast. Everything's moving. Gold is up $50 an ounce. I don't know why, but it is, right? And Dow Jones down 500, NASDAQ down 400. That's upon recording this. By the time you box this up and release it, it could be worse. It may be up on the day. That's what we're doing now. What's fascinating, I find this absolutely fascinating, is grains and meats are not being affected by the stock market. Maybe we need a good old-fashioned down 2,500 in the Dow to get them, risk off. Or to say the Dow's down 500, it sounds like so much, Jesse. It's 1.5%. Corn moves 1.5% between the time I wake up in the morning and have my first cup of coffee. I mean, commodity traders, when we look at stuff in percents, it's no big deal. But stock indice people, there are trillions of dollars in the stock market. I was talking to my coworker here at Nesvik, Scott Shepard. He trades actively in cattle, and we added up how many cattle contracts there are open interest, what the notional value of a contract is. And so we took the number of all the cattle contracts out there, what they're worth. It's not that big of a number. NVIDIA moves more than that whole value in the first few hours of the day. So you say, oh my God, the cattle market, how could it go higher? Well, if people want out of stocks and they want to invest in commodities, they don't really care. They don't think like you and I. They're like, let's put 10% in commodities, right? And that's how I think commodities are getting a little boost from this stock market sell-off.
Well, and it's interesting. A lot of the talk here on Capitol Hill, Jesse goes to Washington week, has been tariffs, and obviously the fluid nature of these tariffs. And that's really been a big headline driver in the stock market here in the last week plus, Tommy. And I mean, you just think about how much has been pulled out of the stock market with all this tariffs on, tariffs off, new tariffs getting added, this and that, doubling of this. And it just, I guess where I'm going with this is that markets, especially stocks, do not like volatility, do they, Tommy?
No, it's almost like we're talking about doing the hokey pokey, right? You put your 25% in, you put your 25% out, you shake it all about, you do the 50% and you turn yourself around. That's what's going on here in trading. And I tell you what, people who like to buy and hold are not appreciating this volatility. People like me, I'm smiling. I get to go to the SEC basketball tournament here, and I have money to pay for tickets because volatility provides opportunity for traders. As someone who's helping farmers manage risk and hedge, put out a recommendation today. Why don't you pair your crop insurance, which you now have as of March 15th, with a nice floor, a nice corn put? And, folks, you can go out there and get recommendations or specifics from whoever. You don't need a broker to do an option, right? But pair that at least you have a chance in corn this year with that 470 floor and nice corn put. That's what I'm telling clients. But, Jess, I think all my clients are coming back to farm this year, but if we have a couple tough years, I think I'm going to start losing guys. No fault of, there's only so much selling you could do in protecting. If you farm on the fringe acres, you're not going to go get forward sold below your cost production. Or even if you farm in Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa, you're not going to be like, oh my God, I'm losing $50 an acre on corn. Let's get forward sold. So most people are being conservative, upping their crop insurance. I don't sell crop insurance, but I could see why someone would go from 80, 85 or do some other packages. So educate yourself on crop insurance, set the floor with options. If we were to talk about beans, not that easy because no beans traded below $10. I know you're out there in DC and you're a little disconnected from the markets, but that is not a good price when you talk about folks we know in the Northern Plains with a 75 cent under basis, you're looking at 925 cash beans. That doesn't work for anyone, Jess.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up. I did see a report from Bloomberg early this morning that the report essentially was looking at that corn bean ratio and saying, well, maybe some folks are going to shift back to bean acres from corn. But to your point, Tommy, you get no beans under 10. And I mean, from everything I understand from talking to a lot of producers, that's not going to bode well. I mean, regardless of what that corn bean ratio looks like, I mean, you're talking beans sub 10, corn's going to be the crop of choice. And that just seems to be what I'm hearing from so many folks right now, Tommy.
Yeah, if you grow corn, you have the bushels, you have bins, you can store it. Hopefully, we get a carry. You could easily sell $5 cash corn here in 6, 8, 9 months. It's not out of the realm. What price do we need to get to in beans here in the next few weeks to say, hey, I'm sending back a box or two of corn and going to beans? But really, ultimately, you and I and all that you interview the best analyst in the industry, none of us matter. No offense to us. Mother Nature's going to decide. And right now, that drought map, it's Thursday, the drought map came out, and that thing's lighting up. So folks, go out and check out that drought map. And there's some drought out there in some really big growing areas. And it's interesting. Everyone stay safe too. We got a major storm coming through the whole Midwest from the upper plains down all the way here. Some vicious weather coming next few days.
USDA had a WASDE report earlier this week and really was a non-event. There wasn't much in the way of changes. I did hear from Seth Meyer with USDA here this week that their analyst, they acknowledged tariffs in that report, but they believe that there won't be very many impacts on the old crop marketing year. So that's why they didn't make many changes. I guess your view of that WASDE from Tuesday, Tommy, it just seemed like a lot of folks were not happy that USDA kicked the can down the road in many aspects, it seemed like.
No, a lot of people were joking on X that they just copied and pasted last month's numbers. We're having phenomenal exports. Exports came out today on Thursday. Phenomenal wheat export. You see wheat up today. Corn numbers were good. Beans a little lacking, but we've sold a lot of corn. And if it keeps up at this pace, that balance sheet's going down. Many professionals who crunch numbers get to work with a young man here. His name's Evan Bossy. I think you know his father really well, Dan, right? So Evan does research for us here at Nesvik, and he's like, the corn numbers could get tight real quick. We talk to him every day about, boy, we sold some more corn, and then we watch it. It's not just a sale. We need to watch it sail out of America and then say, oh, we exported it too. It's left the port. So keep an eye on corn. I did have some trades on where I opened the upside again for my clients. That's the way I'll say it on this show, is that we did some very aggressive things. And then now that they have their crop insurance, I opened up that upside again. I do not want to be making big margin calls if we go from 5 to 6 to 7 because we have a big drought. That is no fun to be sold at a low price, not have the bushels, and you end up being oversold and overprotected. It's a great way to lose a whole book of business, is get people too short, too hedged before we have a big bull run. Not saying we're going to have a big bull run, but at least they have that floor set with crop insurance and that put, and then they keep that upside open, Jess.
Before we get to final thoughts, just any other general risk management ideas you'd leave with producers here with all this volatility going on?
Call the fuel guy. There's a lot of risk here with fuel, with what's going on with imports, exports from Canada. If you want to buy a few tankers of fuel, I bought some futures for people. I don't do that for many people, but some people are big boys. They're like, hey, buy some heating oil, buy some crude oil. I wouldn't necessarily advise that. Buy some cash fuel, $65, $66 energies. We're coming into driving season. At least it's one input that went down. Not many did. Labor's not going down. And then also just continue to stay banker ready. If a banker wants, everyone's going through renew and operating right now. Interest rates are still elevated. Don't be that guy who comes in all disorganized and and didn't know they lost money last year. Just man up to it and say, I need to do a better job, and start doing a better job, Jess.
Final thoughts. I know folks can reach you and the team there at Nesvik very easily. And I know you guys are doing some awesome things there. Some good growth happening on the Nesvik team, Tommy.
Yeah, well, thank you. Real proud to announce that Joe Grassafi is now with Nesvik Trading here in Nashville, Tennessee, and he yeah, it's just a great addition. Love working with my family, and we've been working together in media and markets, and Joe's a member of the Board of Trade. And so it's nice when someone calls the phone down here at Nesvik, they could talk to myself, Joe, Clayton Nesvik, who you know, or anyone from our team. Everyone's a registered Series 3 broker, and we got a real group of professionals down here. And I didn't know 1 year ago there was a trading community in Nashville, but I know now, my friend.
If folks want to reach out, what's the easiest way, Tommy?
You can go to the AgBull website, AgBull Media. I have a big QR code there that has all my information from Nesvik Trading, www.agbull.com. I'm still bullish commodities, but some days they go down, my friends. Yesterday was ugly. Today we got most of it back.
Tommy Grisafi, Nesvik Trading and AgBull Media. Thanks for joining us on Market Talk today, my friend. Always enjoy it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Get those laws passed out there in D.C., my friend.
I'll do the best I can. Tommy Grisafi with us here today on Market Talk.
Make sure to subscribe to the Market Talk YouTube channel. You can watch our latest interviews with top market analysts in the country, find bonus content, and much more. It's easy. Just go to youtube.com/@MarketTalkAg and hit the subscribe button. Or you can search for Market Talk Ag on YouTube.